All right, take 3, I think, because, yeah, setting things up and making sure it's all working. Hi, my name's Reese. Doing a new thing here, and so I'm just going to react to what's coming up on this video, and I don't know that I'm going to do any particular videos or if I'm gonna stick with one like series of videos that I'll watch and react to. What I'd like to do is do it all live. This one is going to be about half live because I've already seen about half of this particular video that I'll be doing today. And I watched half of it because that's when the idea hit me to do this video, because I've seen all these people, they're just throwing stuff out. The amazing number of people who are out there spewing crap, and people watch it. So you know what? Fine. I will watch this too. AIG in particular does not copyright their materials. They say you can use it for anything you want, and since this is going to be probably satire and or criticism, it counts under fair use anyway. So here we go. We'll talk more as it continues.
Hi, and welcome to Answers News for March 26th, 2018. And
It's March 26, 2018.
Yes,
Dr. Georgia
It
Prudhomme
is.
there in
and
the
we
middle.
have a great studio audience
on our
today.
left,
So
stage
here
right,
you
is Ken Ham, and
Hey, we have
on our right
we got a
is
group here from a Christian school
Bodie
in
Hodge.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yep.
Walnut Street Christian School. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
I got it right. Pennsylvania. And they said it in a
Kinda hard
town
to
that I
screw
wouldn't
that up.
understand the name of or something. Well, we haven't been there. There's what, 10 people in the town?
Yeah, about 10.
Yeah, about 10. Okay.
And they're
so
all
we
here
always,
in the audience, all
just
10
spend a
of
little
them.
bit of time just talking about different things here to start with, because we are waiting for people to start
This
to get
is
their
our fluff, yeah.
notifications. Takes a little
HR,
bit of
fluff and
fluff and
stuff.
stuff. Yeah, sort of just like they do in politics.
Did I just show my
And
age?
we're just
I
waiting
might
for
have
people to
just
get their
showed my age.
notifications, get on board here. But we always talk about a few, little odd items or different items to start with. Okay, so I'm getting on here, and people are getting on there. We're already getting comments. Look at that.
I'm already on.
That
it.
is
Yes,
I'm
incredible.
going
I
to
can see
turn
So,
them down a little bit so I can talk
There
over
we
them.
are. Hi, from Amish country in Indiana. There we are. Okay, so Bodie, do you want to? Has anyone here heard of Babylon Bee? Babylon Bee is well, it's a Christian.
I had never heard of it, so I thought, was that
yeah,
anything like
Christian
Babylon
satire
5?
site. They write satire, but they like to do it
In a fun way, of course.
associated with Christianity. So I've been featured on there before. I was featured again this week. Funny thing was,
This week on the
there were
Babylon
people
Bee.
actually believed this happened when they saw the article.
They had no idea it was from a satire site. They were getting upset with Ken, like, I can't believe he did this. How dare he? They were
Yeah.
kind of going off at you a little
Okay,
bit out
that's
there.
funny.
Yeah, they
It
were
is
talking
funny.
about that I vandalized the Grand Canyon where it says millions of years, painted out and put
You were just trying to
4,400
correct it
years
on there.
ago. And then I was arrested, and apparently I escaped. And
Do you
they're
believe
actually...
you're invisible?
they're
That's the
Yeah, I'm
funniest
already
part
bored.
of all.
Come on.
I can't see you escaping police custody.
Yeah,
Well,
George
you know
has
what?
got that
I
one
decided,
right.
seeing as there were even people that believed this, so I posted
Submit
it
to
on
the
Twitter and on my Facebook, and my
municipalities
post
and
I
powers
said,
of this
and
world.
now, on to the Smithsonian
I
next.
guess. I don't know. That
Yeah, there are
was,
people
that's
out there around
probably
the world
something
getting
else.
upset with you. Like,
One
I
thing
can't
you need
believe
to
you
keep
did
in
this.
mind is I know nothing.
Hey,
I'm a
somebody
complete
say-
freaking
somebody-
Pay
idiot.
attention.
So
Somebody here has got a message for you, Georgia. Stop talking about nothing and get on to the issues.
Yeah. That's you doing that.
It's okay. Hey, this is one of your
Ken's
favorite news
sending
items
her
of the week.
messages.
Okay. So here's why, just like with the satire article we just talked about, you've got to be careful, like, with what you're seeing and where it's coming from, and really evaluate if it's true or not. So this
Absolutely
supposedly
correct. I
is the Loch
am
Ness
totally on board with that.
This
Way to
is
go,
washed
Georgia.
up on the shores of Georgia.
Georgia.
Now here's the thing.
No wonder you like this one.
Yeah, if I come across something like this, okay, and I can't figure out what it is by looking at it, I'm going to take a sample of this thing and like put it in a Ziploc or something. So people can look at the DNA. But do these people ever do that? No. Right? They just take a picture and make
They
a
take
big
a
deal
picture
about
and a
it.
video from a distance. So you really
Yeah,
can't
and
tell
you
the
can't
detail.
tell anything. It's just hype. That's
And
all
they,
it is.
they try to make out it's some, what they call prehistoric monster or whatever, but, you know, there are animals
really
like
know what that
basking
is.
sharks or other creatures
sharks,
that when
but-
they decay can end up having some sort of shape like that. So you've got to be really careful.
Yeah, things decay in strange ways sometimes, and so you don't.
I'm
Actually,
going to pause it right here. The basking shark comment is specific because there was a creature found, and it looked like some plesiosaur or whatever the heck it was, and it was really just a decayed basking shark, and the cartilage skeleton was the first clue there, but that was not an accident that he said basking shark.
The Purdom at first thought it was one of those.
Okay, this is another one I saw circulating on Facebook, and people were like,
What?
"Whoa,
There's
that
stuff on
snake."
Facebook that isn't true?
Well, here's what it said. Okay.
The funny
now-
part about this
okay,
is Godless
think of
Cranium
this
has
was what
recently
the little
said that
description
if
was. World's biggest
I think it was Godless
snake,
Cranium, it could have been
anaconda, found
any
in
one of
Africa's
half a dozen.
Amazon
No, it was
River.
Logic. If
Where
somebody
is the
found
Amazon River?
Anacondasaurus,
It's not Africa. It's
he
South
would
America,
become-
people.
he
Okay,
would
right there's your
convert
indication.
right away.
And the images are really blurred around the snake.
So.
It's obviously been photoshopped. Okay, so don't believe everything you see on social media, the internet. You know, that's my word to the wise.
Yeah,
So,
that used to be discerning.
There we are. We wanted to talk about fake news to start with. So that
Yeah,
not only
lots of
is there fake news in politics, there's a lot of fake
There's
news
fake
in other
news
areas as well.
everywhere.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
it says the young
okay,
Earth
so
creationist
Dr. Purdom,
clicked.
let's start with some of these articles.
Okay. Should a secular humanist serve as Navy chaplain? Absolutely not. So this is an article actually written by a senator from Mississippi, because apparently the Navy is considering appointing a person who is an atheist to the position of chaplain. And
I can see
No,
where
wait a
that
minute,
would
wait,
be
wait.
controversial.
Atheists
This is
get on my
actually
Twitter all the time when I
shortly
say
after
that
this
they have
I
a
stopped
religion, and they
watching,
say
so.
they don't have a religion.
I have
so
prepared
if atheists
for
claim
this.
they don't have a religion, now they want to be chaplains?
Inconsistent.
Well, yeah, inconsistent.
They're consistently inconsistent.
okay. Let me let it run
Consistent.
for a little bit.
But atheism is a religion.
It is.
Yeah, it is a religion. But here's what's interesting. The Chaplain Corps...
We're going to argue about that.
When it comes down to that, what it is designed for people who have a godly worldview. And so when you put an atheist into that position, it's actually going against the very nature of the position at hand, and that's what's being disputed.
But
I
think about
can't
what would an atheist
necessarily
chaplain
argue
do?
with
Someone
this.
come and said, Mr. Atheist Chaplain, I have a problem. That's hopeless. I'm wondering about my life. It's meaningless.
Okay. Wondering about your life, it's meaningless. Usually having religious overtones there. Secular humanism's stance, as I understand it, which, all right, I already told you I don't know anything, but I did look this up. That's actually one of the reasons I was going to do the video, was because I was starting to look this stuff up. Secular humanists are all atheists. Not all atheists are secular humanists, although I think that, like Aaron Ra likes to say, that agnostics are people who don't know that they're atheists, and there could be an argument said that atheists are people who don't know they're secular humanists. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything. But the secular humanist would probably tell this person that people assign their own meaning to life. Life has the meaning that you assign to it. So his hypothetical here kind of falls apart,
What's gonna
because
happen when I die?
either he doesn't know.
Yeah,
Nothing.
when you die, you're done. That's it. The end of you. You may as well jump off a cliff right
Well,
now.
the
Can you
video's
imagine?
Yeah.
stopped.
You know,
If they were being
There we go.
consistent, but they're not most of the time, so that's how they can get away
Most
with it. But-
atheists I've seen
But I
are
hope that,
fairly
the whole point of the
consistent about
Chaplain
this.
Corps and the
But
whole point of this position was really for Christians to
Oh,
fill that
whoa,
position.
whoa,
So
whoa,
if atheists
whoa, right
want to
there.
have their own chaplain, that's fine. But really, this position needs to be filled by somebody who's a Christian.
Hey, you know,
Okay. We need to stop right there. Two things here. All right, so here's what is secular humanism. Non-religious because it does not concern itself with the supernatural. It has no sacred objects. It has no rituals. It is what they call a life stance, which anybody else on the planet would call worldview. So you need to be a little honest, right? When it comes to these sorts of things, people are consistently disingenuous, and I do mean people as in nearly everyone. Obviously, there's going to be some exceptions to just about everything, right? There's an exception for everything except for those things that there are exceptions for, or no exceptions. Yeah. So there's that. Now, I was looking at the U.S. Navy Chaplain Corps, and I happen to know from personal experience that there are Jewish chaplains, there are Islamic chaplains, and there are Christian chaplains, and I'm willing to wager that there are chaplains for Sikh or Hindu, for I'd be willing to bet there's at least one Native American chaplain somewhere, or has been. To say that this is for Christians is wrong. And if you look on this U.S. Navy chaplain school, it says nothing about Christianity at all. And if you look right down here, see United States Navy Chaplain Corps, I'm not seeing any Christian iconography. Look here for the religious program specialists. Those are the enlisted people who do this. No Christian iconography there either. Actually, if anything, you've got the wheel here. That's Buddhism. So, if anything, there's a Buddhist iconography there, and no Christian iconography for the school itself. So, not Christian. Not Christian. Religious. And since atheism is not a religion, however, secular humanism, you could argue that one. Right? They're going to say no because of the definition, but it comes down to how you define religion. These folks right here, where's my camera? There's that. Okay. These folks right here are going to say it's religion because that's what they believe in, and religion is a belief system. The dictionary is going to tell you that it requires sacred objects and rituals. So
how we just talked
you
about
can
the
argue
Loch Ness
that either
Monster.
way, but what you cannot
Somebody
argue
said here,
is
isn't Ken Ham Scottish?
not
This ain't a
just for
Scottish accent,
Christians.
I'll tell you that, mate.
Ooh, okay.
It's just not.
Scottish
So
now.
here's some more
Right?
fluff and stuff.
Trying to throw some
That's not a
accents out
Scottish
there.
accent. Yeah, you people need to work on understanding.
We
that.
Hey,
recently
did you hear
watched
that
the
guy-
complete
did you hear
works of
that guy?
Shakespeare,
Somebody
William
mentioned it here,
Shakespeare,
that
abridged.
built a
and
rocket
the whole,
to get in it,
anyway,
to blast
Scottish thing.
himself up into
I actually
the
followed
atmosphere,
this.
so way up
I
high,
was-
so he
I've
could
been
take a
following
photograph and prove the Earth's flat.
This
Yeah,
this
he ended up
guy
shooting
with
himself
this
up into the atmosphere.
steam-powered rocket, which is like
Yeah.
steampunk.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
Seriously.
Guess what? When he got up there, he came back to Earth too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He's a
We'll
very-
probably
Here comes
find
the
that
bad
article and
jokes.
We'll have to report on it.
Just
He's a very
we
down-
talked about him
Yeah.
before.
He's a very down-to-earth person now.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there was an article on the Daily.
There we
Did you
go.
know we had an astronaut here at the ministry
Who
on
has
this
been out?
stage who showed us video on these screens that we have here when he was in the space shuttle,
Hey,
video of
Ken
the Earth
Ham
spinning
is
on its
not
axis.
wrong about something.
And as a Christian
Who knew?
astronaut, here he was up there, and he was here giving his testimony, but he could show the Earth as a sphere spinning on its
Yeah.
axis.
I
See,
don't know.
yeah, and you know that goes back to the whole flat Earth argument and things like that we've seen pop up more and more. And you know, one of the things
I
you have
don't
to be
understand.
discerning again. You know, when people are using certain scriptures,
Flat
they're making
Earth,
them out of
just-
context. They're finding things that are Psalms or
They're not out of
metaphysical
context.
nonsense,
They're
and then
actually
what they do is
completely
they
in
try to take that as
context,
literal, you
and-
have to be very careful of that kind of
Right.
stuff.
See, here's they're they're using somebody else being wrong now about something they used to be wrong about. Because remember, the Catholic Church was adamant that the world was flat, and I mean, hello, Nicholas Copernicus, right? The whole house arrest for all of his life, recant or die kind of thing, and it took him until what, the 1990s was it, when when Copernicus was finally pardoned for the sin of being right while the church was wrong. So, and now they're saying you've got to, they take it out of context. No, they're actually putting it into context to show that the church was wrong. And for hundreds of years, the church believed that the world was flat. The Catholic Church believed, before there was anything other than the Catholic Church and what was it, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and both of them believed the same thing anyway. So whatever.
Go back,
Yep.
read things in context according to the grammar and the style.
Well, you know, when they talk about in the Bible, they say, oh, it says that the earth sits on pillars. Actually, that particular phrase comes out of Hannah's prayer in regard to Samuel, and it's talking about spiritual pillars. It's in the context of her prayer and the spiritual pillars. So again, you got to be.
I'm
going to
give you a
the way
pass
take
because I
those
don't
things.
actually know.
Not
But
everyone thinks you're British.
yeah, read
FYI.
Job.
Okay.
British?
Yeah.
Isn't Canham British? We don't like the British. We're Australians.
All right.
Australians don't like anybody else. They
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
Is that right?
Particularly,
That's funny.
particularly not Americans. That funny accent you have.
Yeah.
What is from
Yeah.
Queensland or
next one.
Watch
something?
more Pepper Pig. That's where you get the British accent right there. Oh, Pepper.
No. All right.
See,
Changing
the people with younger
environment.
kids out there know what I'm talking about.
Changing environment influenced human evolution. So this is the idea. They basically say humans may have developed advanced social behaviors and trade 100,000 years earlier than previously thought. So, but again, this, like, we don't agree
Okay.
with the time frame, but it's not surprising from a creation worldview, biblical worldview, that humans have always been smart. You know, they've always been doing these things and making tools and figuring out the world. So
I
this
could
is
see
Yes,
all
but
that
they're
stuff.
saying it
Babylon
happened
being
more
playing
than
off of this, saying,
4,400
"Look,
years
we found
ago,
ancient
so,
decent cards from
Yeah.
when they were
You
doing
wanna
their
bet.
trade."
Yeah,
they
there's going to be
basically-
lots of people bringing up
talking
the
about
actual
the tool-making
paper that this
technologies and how
report
things
is.
may have changed due to volcanic upheavals, like what they had available to them, like they had more obsidian, more volcanic glass available, which
Sure,
wouldn't be
sure.
surprising in a post-flood world where there was still a lot of upheaval going
Well, that's right. You got to look at the big picture here. You have the flood. You have Noah and his family coming off the ark. You have the events of the Tower of Babel, and then people are spreading to different parts of the world. And so these people get down here in certain places in Africa. They're settled. They're using what they can find to make certain tools and so forth. A volcano goes off apparently, and then all of a sudden they discover obsidian, which is volcanic glass, and they start using that.
For
and then
axes.
they start trading
Yeah.
with it and so forth. And they're like, whoa, there's a big shift here. They just try to throw it back here 100,000 years earlier than what they thought in an
Right.
evolutionary time scale.
Uh-huh.
But it's post
See, think about it too, as you said, Bodie, as people went out from the Tower of Babel, some would live in caves, some would chop down trees and build houses out.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Tower of Babel happened, let's see, if the 4,400 years ago was the flood, right? So you got to give them a couple hundred years anyway, right, to get to the tower. I don't know where these people put the tower. Right? They're living in a city. They're living in a city big enough that they've got enough spare time that they're going to build this tower, right, which will reach into the heavens, which, sorry, why didn't we get stopped from going into space again? Oh, never mind, that's a different discussion. Anyway, they live in a city, and now you're going to throw them back into caves, and you're going to, what? I mean, yes, they're going to cut down trees and build houses, and they're going to use adobe, and they're going to use stones, but why are you putting them in caves?
out of wood. Others might just stay in tents. Some people would eventually be able to use iron and bronze. Others would use stone tools. But the evolutionists go when they...
So these people who lived, okay, I can see it. All right, I can see it, because you've got Native Americans were still Neolithic, right? They had Stone Age tools. They were down in South America. They were using obsidian and flint, right? Stone. Same here in North America. But why would you take these Babylonians, right, people from the Tower of Babel, and put them back in the Stone Age? See, that's the inconsistency of this whole thing, right? Because if they were, I don't know what stage they were at. I mean, because they had, right, copper before they had bronze. Right? Bronze is just copper and tin. And then they had steel was, I mean, he skipped over iron completely. And now the Israelites were unaware of iron even after the Exodus. Well, not necessarily unaware, but they were unable to overcome it because, you know this, because the Israelites were unable to overcome whatever tribe it was, because nobody really cares, because they had iron chariots. So
find all this evidence, they try to interpret it in a
Oh.
Stone Age to Bronze Age to Iron Age sort of evolutionary sort of
So, yeah,
way.
yes,
But you know
there's
the
a
other thing that
progression,
gets me is
not-
they find these what look like axe heads, that they've been designed as axe heads. Think about this: a piece of rock, and it's sharp and can be used as an axe head. And as soon as they see something that looks like it's been chipped away and designed in some way, immediately they say, obviously,
Oh, look, design.
evidence of intelligence. Look at that, design, an axe head. But then the same scientists will look at DNA molecule,
No,
the
they
most
won't.
complex information code system in the entire universe, and look at that and say, well, that's just chance. Oh, look, a rock that's been chipped. Intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many things wrong with this, I'm not sure where to start. First of all, the same scientists wouldn't be looking at DNA strands and axe heads. They're, one's paleontology, or not even paleontology, it's archaeology, right? Looking at artifacts. Paleontology looks at the biome, if you will. And biologists look at DNA. So, okay, the same scientists, but okay, I get your point. If you had the same scientists looking at the two different things, but right, if there wasn't so much, right, right. So an axe head looks like an axe head because it's functional as an axe head, and that's pretty much all it's good for. And DNA is in every living thing. So every living thing has DNA. And frankly, the pinnacle of evolution, the human being as we are now, human sapiens, I've heard us called. Sure, why not? We have 23 chromosome pairs, right? Everybody knows that, except for amoeba have 50, starfish have some ridiculous number. So you take an amoeba, the smallest, right, unicellular thing, they have more chromosomes than we do. So what the hell is all that chromosome doing? And why do you think it was designed to be an amoeba when it takes more than twice the information to make a singular monocellular object critter than it does to make a human? I'm just saying. What makes you think that's design? If it's design, it's pretty piss poor.
Against
There's something wrong with that logic.
That's how they go. That's how it goes.
That's evolutionary logic.
All right. Christianity as default is gone, the rise of non-Christian Europe. So this is a survey that was done of some of the European countries, and finding that, just like many surveys that have been done here in the
Czechs,
U.S.,
I thought it was
that
the Swedes.
Christianity is on the decline. It's not really, it's funny because they say like the Czech Republic and Estonia are the least religious countries. They're not the least religious countries, they're just the least Christian countries.
That's right.
They're
Because
still
everyone has a religion.
Really?
Right, everyone has a religion.
Oh,
Atheism is
okay, we
heavily
need
on
to
the
look
rise.
this up. We need to look this up. Christianity as default is gone. So let's look that up. We'll use this window, right? Ah, here we go. The Guardian. That's the article. Let's see what it says here. Europe's march towards post-Christian. Oh my God! All the ads. All right. Let's see. Has been starkly illustrated on a survey of 16 to 29-year-olds found 91% of that age group, they have no religious affiliation. That's not just non-Christian. That's no religion, Christian, non-Christian. See, here's our non-Christians. That's in the article. That's not even the Let's hear that again, shall we? Let's make this big, and we will hit play.
Right. Decline. It's not really. It's funny because they say like the Czech Republic and Estonia are the least religious countries. They're not the least religious countries. They're just the least Christian countries.
That's right.
They're
Because
Let's see. Not Alt, Control Tab, right? Let's see. No religion, Christian. No religion, Christian. No religion, Christian. Non-Christian. Let's see how they're going to follow this one up.
everyone has a religion.
right. Everyone has.
Atheism is
Oh, atheism is a religion. I forgot about that.
the
Right.
humanistic
Well,
religion.
atheists believe all life arose by natural processes. That's their belief, so that's their religion.
Right.
I also believe you're a frickin' moron. So maybe that's my religion too. But I bet you believe that, well, no, you'd blame that on God too. So whatever.
From a big picture, though, I mean, yes, we're seeing a decline in Christianity in Europe. We're even seeing a decline of it here in the United States. There's other parts of the world that we're actually seeing an increase. We're seeing
Yeah.
an increase
Man,
in
some
Africa.
people-
We're seeing an increase in Asia. It's a number of these Western countries that we're starting to see that decline.
And some
in Europe is
European countries like Poland and some of
It wouldn't take much to make parts of Africa more Christian because there are so few of them. Because, of course, they were, I couldn't even give you a percentage of Africa was conquered by the Muslims. And so it's all Islamic. So, of course, there's no Christians in Africa. It's like, oh, yeah, it's growing. But it's still a huge minority because, Islam is
those
the
actually have
fastest
quite a few
growing.
that claim,
Yeah, Lithuania was one of them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
Christianity.
there's a warning here.
See, now I got myself distracted there. I couldn't say it. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. But as I understand it, and I have I've got no documentation for you here, folks. But as I understand it, atheism, non-religiosism, is growing even faster than that. So, yeah.
Here, though, because what's happened in Europe, Europe had a big Christian influence. And think of the influence of the Reformation, and now we see that waning. We see other countries that have been away from Christianity. We see Christianity starting to increase in other countries. But in America, America is going the way of Europe, and that's a sad thing. And in Europe,
No, it's not.
church attendance is
Of course, that's my
very, very
opinion, so
small.
whatever.
particularly with the younger generation, hardly any of them going to church.
Yeah.
And the same sort of thing is happening in America. And I believe it's the church's fault because we haven't stood on the authority of the Word of God. We haven't taught generations how to defend their faith, how to give answers. That's why we have the Creation Museum, and that's why we have the Ark Encounter. And it's great to see all these young people here today from this Christian school learn answers to defend your faith, so we don't end up like we do in Europe with so many doubting God's Word and walking away from the Christian faith.
Well, you know, you did a couple
here
of
comes
books,
the shill.
with, Britt Beamer. Britt Beamer is from America's Research Group, and we've done polls over here in the United States. taking a
America's
look at
Research
the
Group.
state-
Let's hang on. America's Research Group. America's Research Group. There we go. Boom. Understanding consumers. Our mission, by leveraging our retail industry experience and expertise in conducting consumer research, we support our clients' market analysis and successful decision-making processes. Yeah, Fort Myers. Customized studies, coverage of essential areas of the consumer sector, particularly discounters, home retailers, electronics. So it's not okay. Right. On the surface
State
there.
of the church, particularly the next generation, and we've now got 3 generations of statistics of kids walking away from the faith. And they begin in a book already gone, and they finish in a book ready to return. And these are powerful to show that, you know, in the latest generation, we're really seeing a decline in Christianity.
You can always count on these guys to
By the way, in
sell
this
you
particular
something.
article, and all the articles we
Every
put links at
episode,
the top.
they've got
we
something
pin them
for
right
sale.
to the top of the comments, so you can go back and look at all the
Good
articles.
thing they're a non-profit.
It says in Ireland there's been a significant decline in religiosity. Well, they really mean Christian
That's right.
decline.
Darwinism's taken over.
Over the past 30 years.
Darwinism
And
is
guess
not
what?
a
This
religion
year,
in any
I
way.
and Dr.
My
Georgia
God.
Purdom, and there'll be other speakers too, but we'll be over in Ireland, the
Darwinism
Republic of
isn't
Ireland,
even a
and
thing.
we're doing our Answers conference over there this year. So for those people living in Europe, you know, the United Kingdom, actually the conference we did in the United Kingdom last year, there were people even from America who went over there, used it as an excuse to go visit and then go to our
There
conference.
you go.
would
You want to
believe?
go on a trip? There's-
But anyway, so we are reaching
Wish I
out
cared
to
enough to
these
look up
countries
these
around the world.
professors.
And something too, I mean, it used to be popular
Dr.
to be a
Georgia
Christian,
Prudhomme.
and like they say, as a
Prudhomme.
default, as a norm, that's kind of gone, and that as a result, you know, because the dividing lines are greater now, you know, right? It's not popular to say you're a Christian, and it's not a cool thing anymore. And they said, you know, churches are smaller, but the people that are left are highly committed, and I think that's actually a really good thing.
It's filtering
That
some
the
of the
people,
people out.
yeah, that are there are
The
really
wheat from the
committed,
chaff.
and then they can see really what truly is a Christian and what is not a Christian.
You know,
And I
that
think
also
that's a good thing.
that also fits with the fact that one of the trends I've noticed in America is when we get to the Bible Belt areas, compared to say going to California or the East Coast, when we go to California, the East Coast, the people who come to our conferences are so excited and they buy lots of resources. And they're really on-fire Christians. When I go to the Bible Belt areas, I just find a lot of apathy. We get actually a better response in many ways from on-fire Christians in the more pagan areas of America. Because there, if you're a Christian, you're going to have to stand against the tide.
That's right, and they want to know how to do
And
that.
you're going to
Yeah.
you're going to be noticed. So you have to
see
be
it.
prepared to defend your faith. You need to be an on-fire Christian.
And it's funny too. Atheist Richard Dawkins tweeted about that particular article we just talked about, and he was saying how he doesn't necessarily think that it's a good thing that Christianity is declining, even though he hates all religion. He says Islam is on the rise, and because it's a more violent religion, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. So
Why-
it's kind
why
of
does that
interesting
need
to hear his
quotes?
view on that as an atheist.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
as an
he actually
atheist,
likes the fact that Christianity was there
Yeah.
shielding them from other stuff.
well, he also says he's an equal religion basher, but that's not true because he doesn't bash his own religion of atheism.
Yeah, that's right. It's a double standard. You
Oh,
know, it
yeah.
actually says in this
No one
article,
will
it
ever
says,
convince
the
them that
Muslim birth
atheism
rate
is not
higher
a
than the
religion,
general
so there's no
population,
point in
and they have a
talking
much
about
higher
it.
religious retention rates. But you know, if you actually look at that religion, if you leave the religion, you're required to be put to death, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, I think a lot of people.
Well,
are
and the
afraid
sad
to
thing
leave
is,
because of fear.
many others in the population outside the Muslim community are just aborting their children. They're murdering them. in their
really
mother's
are.
wombs.
Massive numbers of
Which
them.
brings us to this next article.
Yeah.
Yep, crisis pregnancy centers have the right to remain silent. So this is about a California law that has been on the books since 2015 that basically says if you're a crisis pregnancy center, which are usually run by Christian organizations or Christian churches, that they must say, hey, guess what? The state of California also offers immediate, free, or low-cost access to comprehensive planning, family planning services, prenatal care, and abortion for eligible women.
So they're saying
Yeah.
that crisis pregnancy centers are forced to advertise abortion centers.
Yes, they're forced to advertise by the state of California says they must advertise them.
Now, what would happen if they...
Well, I'm not going to bring that up, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that religious crisis centers don't offer planning or abortion. So they won't offer. Help me out here. What am I looking for? The word for prophylactics, right? They won't. What's that? Contraceptives. There we go. They won't offer contraceptives because it's against any religion's belief to reduce the number of believers, right? You want to, if you want to grow the church, the best way to do it is to breed the church, right? Grow your own. So no church ever espouses fewer children. They just don't. And they're not going to offer abortions, even though, yeah, okay. I'm not going to go into this, but the biblical definition of when life begins is not at conception. I'm just saying that. You can look it up for yourself. It's not at conception. That is not biblical. I've never had an abortion, so I don't really have a dog in this hunt.
Passed a law and said all abortion centers, like Planned Parenthood, had to advertise to people that you can go to pro-life centers and learn how to have a baby adopted or to have an ultrasound to see that it's totally human. What would happen if they passed a law like
God,
that?
that requiring people to have a ultrasound and
big, bold letters and all these different
look at
things.
this child.
Yeah, see, there's an
This is a
It's
baby.
one-way street with a lot of these liberals, isn't it?
As
It's
if
just
most
one way,
people don't
forcing their
feel
views
bad
on the
enough.
culture.
Well, and it's coming to the Supreme
If
Court.
people-
So that's
If people have compassion, they will feel bad about having an abortion anyway. And if they don't have compassion, do you really want them having children? Just saying.
why this is an issue, because it's coming there to say that it's violating the free speech of those centers. They shouldn't have to advertise abortions, because if it's up to the government, the state government, to decide what should be said, well, what happens if you get a pro-life government in there? I mean, and they say all the abortion centers have to advertise the crisis pregnancy centers. You know,
It's getting
they
warm
would
in here,
definitely
guys.
would never want that. So it's
Getting warm.
problematic all the way around.
Hey, there's a comment here, probably from one of the students here. They said, hi from the second row in Legendary Hall. This is Legacy Hall.
Legacy Hall.
But I think it is,
Close
I think it is
enough,
legendary that three of us are here together today. And
guess.
so we'll rename it. I think it's a great new name for the hall.
Second row, all right. Welcome.
Yeah, I won't say
Must
his
be
name,
in
Larry.
the second row.
Okay, so
How much more of this we
Guess
got?
we're not
Oh,
saying last
golly.
name. All right.
Got a long way to go.
Women's college instructs professors not to call students women. All right, so this is at Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts. It's a all-women's college.
wait a minute, it's an all-women's college,
It's an all-women's college.
but they can't,
But you can't call, they have to call them students, not women.
but don't they call it a women's college?
Yeah.
Should they just switch it to Students College?
No.
No, because you can only get in if you're biologically female or if you're biologically male but identify as a female.
So they agreed that there's only two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So,
Which
Well,
goes
that's
against
it. The
very
debate's
point that they're
over.
trying to make.
so it's open to everybody, really. Well,
I mean,
no.
Facebook says there's what, 71 genders or whatever, according to.
Wasn't it
the
founded by a
secular
woman?
science.
Wasn't it founded by a
Yes,
woman?
it was founded by a woman. So that, it just goes to show you cannot
They're
be
so- it's so
consistent with this.
inconsistent.
It's totally impossible to say you accept all genders or there's no such thing as gender or it's fluid and then have gender designations at all.
Okay,
Right.
so let me...
They're trying to be inclusive at this exclusive
Here's
college.
their admission policy for the women's college. Any biologically born female can apply for admission, but only a biologically born male who identifies as other, they, ze, and when the other, they identify includes woman, and one who identifies as a woman.
So basically, woman doesn't
You don't
necessarily
understand that?
mean woman. Well, then why does man have to mean man? Why couldn't they just say be a man and go in there? I mean,
You know-
if they're going to be so inconsistent, anything.
Well, it
can
says
go.
they want to promote a gender-neutral environment, but how is it gender-neutral if you're saying
The
there's
point
only...
of a women's college
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of goes against that.
it totally defeats the whole point of having a women's college.
I'm not gonna.
And yet on
Throw
the school
comments out on
website,
this
you know what they
one.
say on the school website? Imagine
know
if
too
every
many
day were International
Genderfluid
Women's Day. Meet Mount Holyoke.
and
Yeah.
gender.
So when you come to Mount Holyoke, it's International Women's Day because there's only women here, but
whatever.
there's not.
It's only
I
students'
can't
day.
even.
It's only
I don't
students'
have
day.
the words for
International
this.
Students' Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the
And- and you
understanding
don't-
of it.
Your
I've
mind
tried to
start to
understand
go-
it. I
And
don't
you don't,
have
Yeah.
you
the
don't say he or
understanding
she, you would say, oh, there's a she and there's a Z.
Or they.
to make
Or they.
Or-
They is...
But what if they don't want to be identified
any kind
as
of
they?
real
Yeah, what-
Just said that.
assessment of
What if
this.
they want? What if they don't want Z? What if they want to be a
It's-
woman when they're not?
What if?
Okay, I'm confused.
I don't know.
What
Well,
if
they
wanna
are
be
too,
identified as a woman?
obviously.
I'm too old
Now,
for
I
this
tell you
kind
what,
of
it's an
thing.
example
And I tell
of.
you what.
When you abandon the absolute authority of
it's-
the Word of God, anything goes. And just to remind our studio audience, Genesis
Yeah,
chapter
pretty
1, verse
much.
27,
Wouldn't
God
that be
said
nice?
He made man in His image. The image of God He made them. Male and female He created them. And then in Matthew 19,
But he made man and then
When-
took
when Jesus was asked
man-
about marriage,
man
he
and
said,
made a
haven't
woman
you read He which
out
made in the
of
beginning
a
made
rib,
them male and female,
which is genetically
a man and a woman,
kind of
and
backwards. It
said,
would
this
be
is the
easier
reason
to
the
make
man
the
shall
man out of
leave
the
his father and
flesh.
mother and cleave unto his wife, and they'll be one flesh, which is what is said in Genesis 2:24, because God made man from dust, put him to sleep, made the woman from his side, male and female, man and woman, and that's the...
All right, now this I have a problem with, because he made all of those living creatures, male and female. He made them. Now, he didn't mention all the asexual and other options. But for all the living creatures, right? For all the animals, beasts of the fields, he made them male and female. And then he made man and said, all right, from all of these things that I've made a man and or a male and a female of, you pick a helper. You know, pick your mate out of the beasts of the field. And man's like, no, not so much. No, I don't think so. So God's like, well, now what am I gonna do? So he puts them in. Then he makes woman.
the first marriage, a man and a woman.
Could you imagine trying to apply some of these principles to languages? Because, English, we have masculine and feminine, pronouns
Right.
and things like that.
Right.
French is like that.
Hebrew has masculine
Yeah,
and
you have
Yeah.
la, le,
True.
being masculine and
Yeah,
feminine.
but
All
German
that
has
stuff
a
would break
neutral.
down to the languages would be meaningless.
Yeah.
You
I
couldn't
don't
make
Latin-
sense of
Well,
stuff.
somebody
Latin
out here
had a
said
neutral.
Satan is the author of confusion. That is
German
why.
and Latin
Yeah,
both
that's
had
a
neutrals.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's,
Okay.
I don't
Someone
think
said if they
many
don't
of
want to
the
be
Asian
identified
languages
as
make
they,
a
then we can
distinction.
identify them as Scottish.
It could be
Some-
wrong with that.
Somebody really
Already
wants
told
to
you
talk
I'm an
about
idiot and I
the
don't know
Scottish
anything,
today.
so
I
just-
Okay.
Well, and now we lead to this next one.
Right, gender fluid baby names are on the rise. So basically, because gender is now considered fluid and you don't know what a child is going to identify as they get older, parents have decided to try to name their
98% of
child
them
something
will
that could be
identify
either a
as-
male or a female name.
Is it even
So-
that
so
high?
here's
There are some names that kind of.
What are the
Right.
percentages
I mean,
on that?
I knew, yeah, Avery is here in the audience. She takes over, if one of us are away for Answers
Yeah.
News. So, what is that gender neutral? What is it?
I would
Sure.
say- yeah,
Avery could go.
She's our token millennial when she's here.
yeah.
Because we
Avery
always
could
like to
go
have a
either way.
token
I know
millennial now and then, so
I know
we
a
do that.
guy named Mackenzie.
Give that
One of them,
perspective.
A-
But here's the
Avery,
thing, you know, when I
Riley.
grew up, there were kids that had the name Tony, and Tony can be a girl's name, Tony can be a boy's
Reese-
name. Here's
Reese
the
is
problem
gender neutral?
today. The reason they want these, what seem to be, you know, names can be used for either, is because
there's a lot
they
of
want to
gender-neutral
make
names.
the point that they believe in gender neutrality instead of male and female. It's almost like today it's better that we actually choose a very female name or a male name to make the point that we're standing on the fact that there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
What an interesting,
So if we have
complex
kids, we
situation
should-
we're in.
You know,
It
if
is
I
an
have a little boy,
interesting
I should name him
situation.
Boy,
Well done.
or male,
Yeah.
or female, girl. I
Well,
mean,
and
that'd be
it's-
pretty
We
it's
used to
awesome.
own
so
goats,
sad because
and
you
we
hear
named
these parents say, you know, this one
all
parent
the
said,
male
"I like that
goats
she
were
feels she
named
has
things like
options and knows
hamburger,
she'll be accepted
stew,
by us no matter what." Their child is 3.
sausage.
Okay, big
You
picture.
know,
Taco.
I mean,
This whole article
Because
is predicated
all
on the,
the
on the
males were
fact that
destined to
there
be
are
eaten.
male and female,
So-
a binary system.
yeah.
Do you realize that?
Yeah, it is.
And yet,
Okay,
here
gotta
we-
tell you a quick story. The first time we slaughtered it, we were raising dairy goats, and the first time that we had to slaughter a goat for health reasons, she had a torn udder. It would have cost an astronomical amount to have the udder repaired. So we had her slaughtered and turned into dinner. And my wife didn't tell the kids what they were having. Now, one of my daughters, very, very sensitive girl, she loves animals. She just adores animals. She's always wanted to be a veterinarian or a veterinarian technician. She's the one that loved to take care of the goats. And they're eating the goat. I wasn't there at the time. And they're eating the goat. The goat's name was Diana. And the kids are enjoying it, and then the wife pops up and says, "Oh, by the way, that's Diana." And my daughter, she's like, tastes good. Just keeps eating a lot.
We are in a culture saying, well, it's not binary. You can have 71
Like, sure,
different
name them.
Yeah.
Name 'em whatever
genders.
you
That's
want.
what it
I
is
don't
today.
care. It's not my
It'll probably
name.
change tomorrow.
Hey, Bodie, I thought
That's
we
a
should do
little-
something here. Somebody made this comment. I believe there is gravity. Doesn't mean it's a religion. Stop calling atheism a religion.
Thank you.
Okay,
There we
I'm
go.
going to demonstrate gravity. This is my watch.
Good thing you caught that.
Now, demonstrate atheism.
I don't believe
See, atheism is a
That's right.
belief.
God. There you go.
It's a
That's-
belief that there's no God.
Atheism is a materialistic religion. Now, what does that mean? It means that you
Yeah,
believe
okay.
all things-
See, okay, here it is. There's the argument. Ken Ham, who definitely believes there is a God, says that atheism is a positive claim that there is no God. Atheism, at its core, is a lack of belief. I am not convinced that there is a God. Now, what I am definitely convinced of is it's not your God. The God you believe in does not exist. And the proofs of that are manifest. However, that doesn't mean that there necessarily can't be a God. And you get into the existential things. Oh, well, if, all things are possible, the universe is huge, there's multiple universes, so if there's any universe anywhere with a God, then gods exist. It's all existential bullshit, because we're in this universe, we're not getting to any other universe, and in this universe, I don't believe that there's a God. So yeah, you could make a case for maybe that is a religion. There is, the positive claim that there is no God. Maybe, but to call that a religion ignores the actual definition of religion and replaces it with the religious definition of religion, which is any belief system. Although atheism has no system, so it still doesn't count as a religion. So we're going to have to, I promise I won't go on about this every time, but I disagree.
That are in existence are material. That would be matter, energy, things like that. In other words, God does not exist in an atheistic worldview. That's why there is the absolute statement, there is no God in atheism. Now, if it's materialistic, well, what's the massive logic, or a conclusion, or truth, or knowledge? Those things can't exist in an atheistic worldview. You have to get rid of that religion, come over and borrow from a Christian worldview,
Right.
just to say those things exist.
Yeah, for atheists to even talk logically, use...
For him to make that conclusion, well,
He had
what's
to
the
borrow
mass of a
from he had to
conclusion?
borrow from a Christian worldview.
Yeah. See, a lot of people come up and they will say, "Oh, well, I don't."
There's
belong to a
so
religion."
many
Well, then
things
why are you
wrong with what
opposing my
they just
religious
said
claims? The sheer
that
fact
I don't
you're talking
even-
religion proves
I don't have the
otherwise.
time
Yeah.
to
Good point.
refute
Good
that.
point.
Somebody said they're going to name
Hey.
their male baby Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, somebody said here, I'm going to
Okay.
name my girl, I'm a girl.
Yeah. Okay.
That-
All
Hey,
right, go on to the
if-
next one because this is.
Hey, I know
Some
something
idiot
here.
named their
some of the
their
top female
child
names
Blue
and top boys
Ivy,
names,
so
here for
what's your
2016
point?
rankings, which is what they were looking at here. Well, one of them was Emma, Olivia for the boys, Noah. Do you recognize any of those names?
Yeah, we have 16 grandchildren, and we have one named Olivia, one named Emma, one named Noah.
They're
Yeah,
contributing to it.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
what is Bodhi? Is that a...
You know, I suspect that Bodhi could be a boy's name or a girl's name, but, you know, I've met a lot of people who've named their cats and dogs Bodhi in honor of me.
Okay. All right.
You
moving
know,
on.
they're just about as
This
smart.
next one we
Oh
had
no,
to do for Karen
that's
'cause he likes the
disingenuous. Somebody,
platypus.
Bodhi has a
Platypus
degree
milk
in
might save us
engineering,
from
so
bacterial
whatever.
infections, and that's not even the best thing about them. So basically,
love
they
platypi.
found a protein in platypus milk. They've named it Shirley Temple. Because it has all these,
wanna order
like
a
she had,
Shirley
now
Temple.
if you don't remember, Shirley Temple had all these really
Little
cute
curls,
ringlets, and
yeah.
the protein has all these ringed-like structures. But they think it's some sort of, it's an antibacterial protein. Now they don't know yet; it hasn't been confirmed. But they're hoping it might fight. We might
Thank you,
use
Georgia.
that same type of protein to fight bacteria that have become antibiotic resistant. So it's because it's very unique. We don't find it anywhere else in the animal kingdom. It's totally unique to platypus.
See,
Therefore,
Australians are
God.
unique.
Well,
I've always
that's
said that.
true.
Yep.
We are
So
a unique
here's
group.
what I want to know.
Hey, you know what?
Who's going to volunteer to milk the little rascals?
Well, you don't even milk them.
I know.
They just secrete the milk
They actually-
from their
they
teeth.
sort
They
of-
sweat
I
it.
guess you grab
sort of
Thank you,
sweat the
Georgia.
milk
Yeah,
out.
they don't
Sweat
have they don't have
Yeah,
nipples.
they sweat the milk out. You know, you
Platypus
just
I
leave-
learned
and
more about
echidna
platypuses in
do
this
not
article
have
than I needed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
know.
when I grew up,
nipples.
when I
They
grew
just
up, yeah, when I grew
secrete
up,
it.
we
They
said
sweat it out.
platypi.
It's-
See, I looked that up. I was like, is it platypi or platypus? It's like, apparently,
Yeah.
depending on
Either
which
one.
dictionary you're looking at, both of them are correct. There's also platypodes. There's also
Platypodes?
plural for
Platypi?
platypi.
Platypuses?
Who cares?
What?
How many times do you use it?
Hey, you know what? The rest of the platypi is correct because that's what I was taught in Australia, in
Okay.
Australian schools,
All right.
by
Those
Australian school
Aussies.
teachers.
Yes,
So
right.
platypi has to be
That's
right. Platypuses doesn't make sense. Hey, you know, the rest of the article
It's talking
actually
about
talks about how unique the platypus is. And how confusing the platypus is. Actually, you know, it's my favorite animal.
I
It's
know
not
it. That's
actually
It's
why.
my
that
favorite
confusing.
animal because I think it's so
it's-
confusing to the evolutionist.
It's
You think
not.
about it. Bill
It
like
really
a duck,
isn't.
beaver like tail, hair like a bear, web feet like an otter, claws like a reptile, lays eggs like a turtle, feeds its young on milk like a mammal, has spurs like a rooster, and poison like a snake.
Yeah, I don't think you
And
should
I
do
mean,
that one.
It senses
It-
its prey
if-
by detecting electric fields.
If
shuts
it
its eyes.
evolved, it evolved from everything.
No,
Well,
you're
that's
kind
what
I
of
think every
talking
time,
about is-
backwards.
I think every time an
actually.
evolutionist looks at the platypus, I
anyway,
think God
yeah, it's
smiles
an older-
because I think he made
put
it just for them.
Right? Because they actually had to
Yeah.
invent a whole new monotremes, which is what, there's only
yeah,
them and the
classification,
echnida
Echidna,
that are
thank
part
you.
of that because they lay eggs, but they're mammals. So it is very unique. It's cool. It's a cool animal.
Hey,
Poisonous,
Yeah,
venomous
the
Somebody
monotremes
said-
are awesome,
Somebody said here they had a
and
platypi for
it's
dessert
not
last night.
confusing, and it's not
A platypi.
problem
They beat me
for
to that.
evolutionary
God.
scientists.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
fit
All right.
exactly
some
where
very
you
creative
think they
people
would
on
fit.
here.
So
Somebody said they remember the platypus from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I remember that. So You were
I
too
don't-
old.
Oh, you,
Yeah.
you know what would make sense
don't
that you watch
remember
Mr.
that.
Rogers? Because you're so boring sometimes.
My kids used to
Hey.
watch
You have to take your
I
Phineas
grew
and
up with
Ferb.
Mr. Rogers. All right.
I remember
Penny
that.
the
Surreal
platypus.
photos of India's living root bridges. These intricate living structures take
Those
15
things are
to
awesome.
30 years to complete. So this is in areas of like Bangladesh and mountainous sort of areas
Like
where
olive
these, this
trees,
certain
olive
people
roots?
group, the Kazi, have developed a way to basically link across these really streams and things like that that can get really filled up when they have the monsoon seasons and have a lot of rain and everything. And they basically weave together the
They take the
roots
roots, yeah,
of
and
these
grow.
trees with
And it's
other
awesome.
bamboo planking or something like that to create these root
And they're just
bridges.
showing you one example here.
So
but
they're
they'll go
living,
across.
they're living bridges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're living.
They even have on page 2, if you look at the article and link on it later and look at it, there's a double-decker bridge. And
Yeah,
I was,
that's
a
right.
double-decker bridge. And I was thinking, the Brent Spence Bridge here in between Cincinnati and northern Kentucky, it's a double-decker bridge over the Ohio River. They've been talking for years and years about the need to replace it. We've got the solution.
Yeah, it only takes 200 years to weave enough
Yeah,
branches to
that's
go
Yeah.
across.
Yeah,
that.
to
Enough roots.
We just have to
allow
grow the right trees
pedestrians.
there and keep the roots
But
coming
these
out.
things are an
Awesome,
engineering
awesome solution
marvel.
there,
They really
Ken.
are. They're
Very
fascinating.
funny,
And
very
you know what? The
droll.
older they get, the more sturdy
Oh
they
yes,
get.
very drolls.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and I think as I drive across our potholed roads around here, they don't hold up very well in bad weather. But these things, they
Well,
get
you know,
stronger.
I don't know if you want to drive your semi across these.
Well, I'm not arguing that, but for what they do, walking across
Hey,
them, I think
this-
it makes
If
shows
all
the
you did was
brilliance
walk across
of
them,
man's
our
mind.
bridges,
Yeah.
And how we can
would
we've
hold
been
up
given dominion over the earth.
just
and,
fine.
They do fascinating things.
although
like
they
this.
do
It's
rust,
incredible.
so yeah, you gotta
So-
keep them up.
Hey,
I
you
mean,
realise
yeah.
we've run out of time? We'll have to do the rest of them.
Oh, good, we've
on,
run out of time.
It's Thursday. Is today Monday?
Today's Monday.
Today's
Somebody
Monday.
said they drink platypus milk.
I don't think so.
So
Maybe
how
there's
do
a
they
brand of
milk
milk called
Well,
Platypus
they say
milk.
they're crunchy moms, so that means
I
they're
don't
like
think so.
cool. So
I-
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We'll save that one.
okay,
for
whatever.
later.
So we're,
Platypi milk.
so the
All right,
three of
thank you,
us,
folks.
for those that are here, we're going to go out
I'll
to the lobby there and meet people.
Maybe I'll
If
get
you
some
wanna come up and
comments,
meet,
and
anyone.
we'll
If
try
there's someone
this
you don't
again
wanna
for
meet,
the
just let 'em
next
know.
episode
And,
of
we'll be out
Answers
there.
in
All
Genesis.
right. Sounds
or
good. We'll see you on Thursday.
Answers
too.
News. All right. And there you have it.